let's have a talk. Law states one thing, and I'm gonna say this to one person and a lot of other people, is that law states by that of not stating, by the leading of that of a state, and states that of what you can and cannot do by law. So you can't quite understand what I'm talking about. A lot of different things went into preparation. A, for me to be here. B, so no one can actually mess it up. And C, so that they understand out there and entertaining people that when you start running your mouth about darkness, you have no idea of darkness. You have no idea what it's like to be in utter darkness. That's why I laugh at the Undertaker. As far as the Undertaker, you are under investigation by British intelligence and Canadian authority under the fact of one thing, is whether or not you were brought up from the graves asleep, or if you obtained a body from someone who was asleep. If you ever notice, see a few different variations of the Undertaker. Some say contacts, some don't say contacts, etc. The other person of interest to the British intelligence, let alone the Russian KGB and the Kremlin and all that, was one, the Undertaker, two, Pamela Anderson. In which, if both have done what I think they have done, and the interesting part is the kid in Texas, who, when you look at him, it tends to make it look like he has corneas cut out, the front part of his eyes. Now, granted, he was told to stay away from the Undertaker by that of 1,000 feet. Not that he couldn't actually go around beyond the 1,000 feet, but the Undertaker got a issued letter back in 1980 of not going around that kid. By that of the British intelligence, as well as the letter stating that they cannot talk. The kid also got another letter, as well as Pamela Anderson, stating that Pamela Anderson cannot enter the state of Texas, nor the territory of Texas, nor the land of Texas. Nor can she be in that of California, New York, or any other state that she claims to have in her possession a set of contacts that can change things, or of that of anything of Europe, which is that from an artifact, from a room, or a vault, or that of anything that might even look like an underground warehouse, let alone a bunker, that she's not allowed to step in Europe without all these things she stole, and all that of other things, as well as the Undertaker. Now, the Undertaker, let's sit down and have a little brief talk, okay, little boy? Because only one person would claim the Ministry of Darkness, and that's someone who hasn't quite got their tighty-whities all set in a row. And when I say all set in a row, it means that you're more than likely didn't quite think everything through. Now, as far as the 3 or 4 different variations of the Undertaker, no one's afraid of the Undertaker. If, in fact, that, like I said before, whether or not your life was being born. You're not reborn, so don't get it mixed up. You're either born or you ain't born. Reborn's just another nice way of saying someone came back from the dead by reference and example. As far as you being like impossible to destroy, that's not hard. And I believe I got my locations correct about where your corpse lays. If that corpse gets dug up and that casket gets opened or glows in any such way of mystical, then it gets set on fire to get rid of the mystical, or some may call it enchantment. And all it is sand suspended and set to that of being clear or invisible. The delay rate is set to that. Now you're going to say this is entertainment, you're going to say this is this and that, but let me ask you this, Undertaker. I told you not to mess with me, for one. Two, any of your friends or associates, or anyone that follows you under the panty association of the ministry. Pretty simple. There are places inside this country, let alone more than probably 40% of this country, that you're walking on a dead person by that 5 to 10 feet, being buried or better. There are vaults that require to be dug out, in the sense of getting to, not actually digging the vault out. It's too massive to dig out. There are vaults in areas better known as Area 51, in which I was employed through Europe, mainly to handle uncontrollable or weird or unexplainable things. Now I want you to do me a favor. Take your little cell phone or take your little computer and type in alien, go to image. That's what happens when people use people, and they try to keep it to the physical side. That's not an alien. It's not an extraterrestrial. The only thing that's an extraterrestrial is often someone may say, well, I got an extraterrestrial on my property. Which means that someone from another planet came here and he's standing on your property, or she is. As far as all these little things running around, that's going away here real quick. Because you asked if I could do something. Do you remember that question? If I got everything right, it was that you asked where you were. I said Jersey Shore Cemetery, on the outer boundary by that of mainly the curb. You asked me how much does the government or the state or whom is in charge owns, and I said about 10 to 20 feet. And from there you got really smiley. You see, no one smiles unless they're going to break the law. Just so happens that everything between that guy that's sitting in the office and yourself, everything to this day has not been very good for you or for WWE or WWF. This isn't to do promotions for a busted ass company that cannot survive on its own. So once you hear all this, I want you to sit back and think about what your next move is. Because playing around with this stuff, even as an entertainment, is how some industries, various industries, how some movie and video companies and entertainment companies got themselves buried in a place they didn't like. And trust me, there's ways to keep people down. And I know each and every one of them. So Titan Sports is not owned by the WWE or WWF. This is well known. You gotta ask yourself one question. Mudslides in California often go from the northern to the central area of California. How do you know that the hills above you in Washington didn't cover the state? Because that state's really how you want to say, crappy. They didn't run piles in the ground to keep the dirt back, let alone Alaska, which is falling apart. But so you gotta ask yourself that question. You might want to sit back and tell everyone to leave you alone and whatnot to answer that question, because you got a pile of criminal activities in your past that is not a foreign national status, which would also diminish a foreign national status from you, as well as a lot of other people out there that go from California, NYC to Florida, California, NYC to Florida, California, NYC to Florida. I want to think about that. You're also included in an investigation that happened in Trout Run. That is a touchy subject for you, because I can see it in your expressions. That's why you're under investigation. That's why you're probably your next casket, not coffin, casket, is going to be the steel iron type at 5 inches, inlaid with symbols that keep stupid people from getting out. And it's already prepared. So you might want to sit down and start telling the truth of what you remember. Otherwise, as far as Paul Bear, he's nice, I know. Took a lot of crap for you. He shouldn't have. And I won't say crap because it's not nice to fill people up with crap. But he did a lot of, I want to say, controlling you in one sense, as far as keeping you from fist fighting in a fake entertainment business, as it was called. Because if you remember back in Undertaker in 1988 to 1989, 1987, the WWE, WWF, and whatever other names was so far into bankruptcy by $4.5 million to $1 million that it couldn't see the daylight. So, have a nice night.